part 3 of the story. I had just told Dad that I think his body was trying to die, and he agreed. And I witnessed the most profound change in my father. Over the next 24 hours, all of the rage left, all of the anger, all of the frustration and combativeness, and he became peaceful and joyful, and he laughed, and he told stories, and he wept, and he apologized, and it was so hard, and I was also just so abundantly grateful for that. I guess we had assumed, because of how disastrously out of level his blood and all of his labs were, that when we withdrew clinical care, that he would go very quickly. And so we called my brother Ryan that had gone home and had him come in to the city to say goodbye, and we spent the next 12 hours saying the most beautiful goodbye. One of the things that we did, without really asking for permission, but was, I think, the greatest gift that we could have given ourselves, was instead of just sitting on chairs beside Dad as he was laying in a hospital bed, we took an extra empty hospital bed and pushed it up next to his. So we had like a queen-sized hospital bed with the railings down in the middle of both of them and some blankets shoved down in the middle, so it was like one big mattress. And Mom got in the bed beside him, and they laid face to face, and Adam and I sat on the beds near their knees, and just, we held hands, and we talked, and we laughed, and we cried, and we sang, and it was so beautiful and so holy, and we had no idea what to expect. And the next morning we all woke up, and Dad was still alive. And not only was he alive, he was hungry, he wanted food, and he was able to get up and walk to the toilet, and he wanted to shower, and we were confused. And we spent that morning talking about what it would look like for maybe all of the clinical care that Dad had experienced to have righted things enough that he was no longer dying. And we also talked about what it might look like for this to be the last and final surge of life, which is a really well-documented phenomenon at the end of lifetime. And so I said, well, Dad, what do you want to do? Do you want to just behave as though you're still living and get out of here? Do you want to let them stick you one more time and run a full panel of labs and see maybe that things are better? Or do you want to just wait? And that's always an option, to do something or wait. And Dad decided he wanted to let them run a full panel of labs and figure out what biologically appeared to be going on, because energetically it felt like he was very vital. And so they came and drew the labs and sent them off, and in that time we let Dad have everything he wanted. We took him outside for a smoke, and we bought him a Wendy's Frosty, and we found a TV in the hospital and brought the TV in so that he could watch hockey, and we talked and laughed and had a really, really beautiful day. And in the early afternoon he got tired and he started fading away, and he was less lucid and more seeing things again and in and out of consciousness. And it was around that time that it became clear that actually he was leaving, that the labs came back and confirmed that he wasn't spontaneously, miraculously cured. He was given one last good and beautiful day. And in that time when he was lucid, we asked, where do you want to be? We were in Edmonton, which is 3 hours from his home, from Hinton. And he said, I want to go home. I want to die in Hinton. Can you take me home? So we talked to the doctor about it, the hospitalist doctor, and said that we'd like to put him on hospice care, palliative care in Hinton. And he said, okay, we can do that for you. We can arrange that transport. You know, we'll talk to the transport people, and it can take 24 to 48 hours for somebody to be available. And me being who I am, I was like, well, can we just take him? Like, it's a 3-hour drive. And he is dying, and we know that. But we're comfortable caring for him. Can we just take him? And he was like, you guys are just the strangest people ever. You would be willing to do that? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay. I said, I need to know, if you call the Hinton Hospital, will they receive him from us? Will they accept him from us? And if so, we're gonna go right now. And over the next hour, everything fell into place. We got the car ready. They gave us any meds that we would possibly need for the journey. We we got Dad dressed in all of his own clothes, which he was really, really happy about. And we got in the car and we drove to Hinton. And it was peaceful and a little nerve-wracking. I think all of us really, really wanted Dad to make it to the Hinton Hospital, even though it didn't make a difference if he had died on the way, right? And we got to the Hinton Hospital, and he was really stubborn and still strong as an ox, even though he was dying, and he insisted on not being in a wheelchair, and he got up out of the car and walked into the hospital with help. We had people helping him on both sides. And they took us to a room and, you know, helped us get him set up and comfortable. And the room we were in only had one bed, and I had already felt like what we had experienced before was so lovely and profound. I said, can we have another bed? I'd like a second bed, please. And they brought us an empty hospital bed, and we pushed it side to side, just like before. And you would think that based on the labs they had given us, and based on the estimate that the doctor gave us, and based on how the drive felt, that Dad was going to go any minute. And he didn't. He lived for 3 more days. And it was really hard. Hard, like not wanting him to go, but knowing he was going, but also wishing that he would go so that it could just be over, and not wanting him to suffer, and also not wanting to drug him or sedate him or any of those things. And so what we did over those 3 days is we never left him alone. Somebody was always with him in the bed beside him, either talking to him or holding his hand or just laying with him. And we had music playing the entire time. Dad's favorite band in the world has and always was been the Statler Brothers. And so we just had Statler Brothers music playing, and by this point he was no longer eating and no longer drinking and no longer able to sit up or communicate. And I wondered, a part of me wondered, what is missing and what might he be holding on for? And Mom and Adam and I had had that beautiful night of saying goodbye and asking forgiveness and giving forgiveness, and Ryan wasn't there for that. And Ryan is kind of a hard dude. He's kind of more of the like gooey on the inside but really tough on the outside, and he doesn't show his emotions easily and doesn't like to cry, you know, like he's like a dude. And the last thing that he said to Dad when we had called him into the city to say goodbye was something kind of mean, but on brand for Dad and Ryan, the type of relationship that they had. And it was something like, see you later, old fucker, or something like that, right? And so I called Ryan, and I said, hey, I need you to come to the hospital and sit with me for a while. And he was like, yeah, I'll be right there. And 20 minutes later, he and his wife walked in, and we hugged, and I said, I just need you to come to talk with Dad for me for a second. And immediately I could see him clench up, because I know how hard it is, and I know how big he feels, and also he doesn't want to cry in front of me. And I said, like, let's just do it, okay? Just be tough, be brave. And we walked in and stood next to Dad, and he took Dad's hand, and I said, okay, just say what I say. I love you, Dad. Fuck, of course I love you, Dad. I forgive you, Dad. I don't have anything to forgive you for. You've been a perfect dad. I wouldn't ask for you to change a thing. Please forgive me, Dad. Please forgive me, Dad. It's okay to go, Dad. Of course it's okay to go. What are you waiting for? We love you. You've been the best dad we could ever ask for. You don't have to fight anymore. It's okay to go. And 10 minutes later, Dad's breathing changed. And we called Adam, and Adam came back, and Mom came and sat with him. And we all sat around him, and we all held his hand, or a leg, or an arm, or a shoulder. And 30 minutes later, he was gone. And it was so peaceful, and so beautiful, and so hard, and so sad. And we cried, and we laughed. Oh, the whole gamut of human emotion. That's part 3. There's one more part.